Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Thistle. I'm the newly appointed Global Account Manager in charge of Stone Security. We also have Mark McCormick up here and Quang Chin. First, Brent, Joey, the team at Stone asked me to say a few things about Stone. It's been a great relationship we've had over the years. I know Mark wanted to mention a few words before I got into my slides here.
Am I on? Okay. On July 1st, we made Stone Security, we brought them into the NSI program. It was an internal announcement within Access. Now, I'm here to say it's an official that the NSI program includes Stone Security. I think I can speak, speak on behalf of the entire Access organization. We are thrilled to have you guys in our program, and we look forward to supporting you not only here nationally, but globally, based on yesterday's meetings of your expectations of year-over-year growth. We're excited about supporting that across the globe. So welcome, and we look forward to a great partnership moving forward.
So when I talked with Rob last week in preparation for this, we really wanted to highlight why we partner with Stone and, how we align. As Brent mentioned earlier, we're at 19 years of partnership. They have won 8 awards. It was actually great. I don't know if Brent looked at my slide deck prior to that, but he did highlight that. Another thing, too, is they actually have 30 Access certified professionals. So that's actually very, very large comparative to a lot of the other integrators out there. And with them being a member of our National System Integrator program, anyone at Stone can actually attend any of our trainings at no cost. Where we feel we really align with Stone, and it's one of their core values, is the people. Access has our own core values. Stone's has their own, I'm sure Milestone and Winnell as well. But we align very, very closely with their people. We have similar culture. And the big thing with Access, and I've noticed, with my couple months here managing Stone, is that, work-life balance. There is more than just, selling cameras and installing, but we want to make sure we have, a happy home and, a happy life. And then finally, the innovation and vision. You just saw Adam and the rest of the presenters today. We all have that strategic vision together, and we want to make sure we can grow that together. The other piece, closer to the customer. If you're familiar with Access, we call that our Access Experience Centers, our regional salespeople out there in the field. But as you can see here, we're in that Global Technology Center, and they're also starting to expand throughout the country. So we want to be, in lockstep with them. As they grow, we want to grow with them. Sharing what we know. Obviously, Adam just did a fantastic presentation. So knowledge transfer, training is something that's very important to both organizations. Feedback and development. We can't get better if we don't, share that feedback and develop new, solutions. And then finally, we seed together. We're just a small piece of it. So, Access, Stone, the end customer, the Wescos, the Milestones of the world, we have to act as a team there. And then, finally, one thing I want to make sure as we expand with Stone and, as they expand across the country, I like to say we have that local feel, with national support. Some of my, role going forward will be, increasing those operational efficiencies. That's going to be obviously on the forecasting and demand planning side, the sales, getting more familiar with, their sales group, training, and then support. I want to make sure when they pop up a new office in Washington, D.C., they're getting the same, training and support that they get in, Salt Lake City. And then finally, Andy was alluding to it yesterday, the Wolf Pack. But, great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people. And here at Access, we try to build a team around Stone. So I'm just one piece of that. We have our people there out in the field. We have Mark, we have Quang, we have a few other Access people here, helping support. So we really want to make sure we have that team environment so, we can, offer those best in breed solutions. And then in transition before, I pass it over to Quang. Just go one more slide for me here. Access is very, very invested in, innovation and, R&D. As you can see, 18% of our revenue is dumped back into that R&D budget. 35% of our employees, so actually if you go over to the mothership there in Lund, Sweden, majority of them are R&D engineers. We're always looking for, new ideas, with Stone, getting the elevated status with us. They actually do a lot of our beta testing and give us a lot of great feedback. I know a few of them actually went over to Lund, Sweden earlier this year. We were able to meet with the product managers and actually present it to a bunch of the R&D folks as well. So we always want to collaborate, take the feedback, and, increase our technology, and then offer a better solution to the customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. So my name is Quang Tran. I've been with Axis for 11 years, and I remember in 2013 meeting Brent and Stone, and I really appreciate seeing the organic growth that Stone has achieved in partnering with us. And today I'm going to present a little bit about what Joe alluded to, is how Axis innovates and partner with Stone Security. It'd be easy for me to come up here and do a roadmap, but I think the best way to kind of express and show insights into the value that we bring as a partner is to kind of show you a little bit of a glimpse of how we innovate at Axis and how we look at things and how we go to market. So I specifically focus on platform technologies that are coming into the industry with AI, cloud, and data. So this actually shows the opportunity growth that the industry is going to have, not only with what we're providing, but the expansion and further technology innovations that Axis is bringing to the table. So with that, what I want to kind of give you an idea is that, for us, it's about business outcome. And at the heart of that is our end customers. And I know a lot of noise out there around AI and analytics. And really what it comes down to is when we talk to our customers, they want successful business outcomes. And what we've identified is if we can innovate based on their business outcomes, we have a winning formula. And with that, what we've identified here is in the next layer these are the technology influences that make their decisions on what they use or what they choose to achieve those business outcomes, right? So if you look at here, the foundation of some of the trends that they're looking at is, of course, cybersecurity. We live in a digital transformation world now that if you don't have cybersecurity as part of your DNA or your plan, you're probably not going to get anywhere with any of your end customers regarding what they're doing, right? The second aspect of this is data. And this data is very important. More organizations are moving to a data-driven solution, and that's a part of their business outcome that they're looking for. And when I mean data, I mean anything from our video data to sensor data like radar that we saw from our partners, also access control data, right? And then there's also other data that also bleeds into this because there's other aspects of the organization that are now understanding that their data is very valuable and they want to be able to use that data in a very meaningful way. And then the other two influences right now are, of course, cloud. And just like what Tim mentioned, cloud is not a destination. It is a tool to really enhance what they're looking for, right? And because of that, those options are there for them to look at. And then lastly, right now, the biggest elephant in the room is AI. I think AI, whether we like it or not, is impacting our industry, other industries as well too. And I think a lot of people will get up on stage and talk about the future of AI, and I really think that AI is here already. And we have to be prepared, we have to understand, and we have to figure out what are the best uses. And our customers are doing that as well too. So they're also on that journey with us to figure out how to create those positive business outcomes with all these forces. And then underneath that, what we've realized is that in the cybersecurity space, there's the physical security space as well too. So as the IT teams are protecting their IT infrastructures and their digital infrastructure, physical security plays a very inherent role in their business units to ensure that assets are physically protected, right? So our industry in the physical security space is growing and expanding rapidly. The other aspect is we've seen this over the last decade, IT. How many of you guys are more engaged with IT teams, with your customers, in looking at the solutions and how to integrate the systems into their IT systems, right? We saw that in the last decade. The other aspect where I focus on a lot is other business units. We're seeing that with the access of data, that other business units within the end customer's organization are now asking, well, oh, you have video. We have all these insights. We can actually validate our insights with the video that you guys already have. So I think that's where there's a lot of synergy that are happening within the actual customer's environment. And with that, what's happening is, we've lived in siloed different teams in the past. And I think that is actually breaking down. And it's not just us as an industry looking at open standards and partnering with partners or even competitors. It's all about the end customer now realizing that within their own organization, they need to not be siloed as well too. They need to collaborate and work together, and that's all feeding this aspect of wanting more positive business outcomes. So just want to give you guys a glimpse of how we are approaching in the way we innovate at the device level. And this is how we view as a formula in terms of understanding what's out there and how do we grow. And just like yesterday when Brent was talking about, the success of Stone, I really think that the growth for Stone to get to $1 billion company is very achievable. When you think about the security space, our market is small compared to IT and all these other business units. Those units and that market is $1 trillion business market. So now that everything's all blending in, there's opportunities for growth from now over the next decade. So I think there's some opportunities there, and it's very achievable. And I think that's where we view things, and that's how we're going to innovate on our side. So with that, let's talk about some innovations when it comes to the business units. What we're finding is that security is now kind of expanding, right? So what I want to go through are some slides about some sample use cases, because when we talk to customers, it's not one particular use case they want to solve. Once they realize that they got all the tools that they need, they are actually solving a lot of use cases. So as a vendor, it's hard for us to really extrapolate what is a general, global, or generalized solution that can fit for everyone. So an example of what the pandemic has caused was how many of you guys remember occupancy and your customers asking about like, hey, how do I understand my environment a little bit more, right? And for years we've had solutions for counting people, but counting people has kind of evolved based on the pandemic when they want to understand flow, velocity, other aspects of their organization. So occupancy was that one aspect, right? That a lot of our customers were looking for when it comes to a business outcome that benefits their business. The other aspect of this is process monitoring. We're finding that a lot of our industrial manufacturing are now looking at how much more data and information can they see. So an example here would be, hey, how do I overlay the mechanical aspects of my environment into the video that you already have? Again, this is the digital transformation world. Everybody wants to figure out how to work together more closely to make it much more easier and efficient. So we see that as another potential business use case. So hopefully some of these examples that I'm giving you guys here kind of gives you into the insight of the questions and the engagements that we're having with end customers to understand what are their needs and how do we fit as a component into that system that's going to allow them to achieve what they're looking for, right? So another example with this is temperature monitoring. So you take that aspect in, and now you're looking at other operational maintenance of their equipment. So all this can be done with devices and sensors on the edge that now have been digitized. So again, another example of some operational efficiency type stuff that bleeds over even to safety and security. Because when you think about certain critical infrastructure customers that are looking for safety and security, this is also going to be an added element or an augmented benefit of what they're looking for. And then here's an example of how we kind of take temperature monitoring and starts to connect the pieces. I think Adam showed a really good example of that type of automation. And one of the things that we try to not add into the market are marketing terms like smart or AI, right? Because really when it comes down to it is when you have better integrated systems, you have better automation. So here's an example where several customers when we were talking to around temperature monitoring, how do we integrate other components to make this much more easier and efficient, right? Using audio speakers, using physical buttons to create actions as part of their SOP. One of the things that we believe at Access is that the technology itself that we provide is not the only component. There has to be people and process. And that's been a very common methodology for a lot of industries to basically make sure that you have a lot of these core components that really make the system successful out there. So this is a good example of kind of integrating all these different aspects of their systems into one and automate that in a way that makes sense for them. The other aspect of this is now with the advent of AI and computer vision, you have the ability now to even look at anomaly detection, right? So when it comes to things like logistics, there's a lot of ROI and investments into logistics and understanding if things are delivered appropriately. And this really helps not only curtail the efficiencies of their employees, but also looks at overall, employee behavior and shipments and things like that. So another good example of some operational efficiency use cases that we've been discussing with our customers. And then this is one from critical manufacturing when it comes to visual verification. There's already systems out there outside of security that our customers are using that brings business insight. And really those business insights are already valuable to them. And then what they're realizing now is that with digital cameras on the network, they can actually use it to visually verify. So now when you combine those types of business intelligence type of applications and platforms and tie that into the data that we can provide them from video, now you have this cohesiveness that really reduces the amount of either false alerts, false events, and this is what we're all looking to achieve. I think with all these type of tools that are hitting the market, we're seeing that we're becoming more of a proactive industry instead of reactive, right? Because the tools that are available, the technology is available, and it's actually accessible to our customers. Our customers are seeing that this exists now, and that they actually have the budget, and it's doable for them to actually accomplish, because the ROI and the return on investment is really already tipping towards that scale. And then this is related to some of our body worn, where we've been asked for chain of custody when it comes to even visual inspection and ensuring that employee behaviors and safety is also set. So another example of utilizing video to verify other means of logistics and operations. So these are some of the use cases that, again, that we've kind of been discussing with our end customers, and that just shows a component of where we sit amongst a bigger system that's going to provide those positive business outcomes. And then lastly, this is going to go into some of the other things I'm going to go into around computer vision, is scene metadata visualization. I know that we work very well, we integrate well with Milestone, but we also have customers where they don't need the video, they just want the data. So if our devices can count people or count vehicles or do other things that they can detect at the edge, they have limited bandwidth, they don't need to send the video until they actually have an incident. And then they can look back at the timestamp and then verify that. So they can use a Milestone system to retrieve video, right? So here is an example of something like this. And this actually came from a project we did in EMEA with LoRaWAN, where it's very limited in bandwidth space for transmission. So when you're talking about metadata and just counting of vehicles, that's in the kilobits. So that's very doable, and that gets thrown into a dashboard where an operator doesn't need to look at an intersection or several intersections. They're just looking at a dashboard, looking at normalized traffic, and if there's peaks or valleys, then they can actually go investigate those type of anomalies. This makes the solution much more viable and much more efficient for somebody to sustain, right? So I think these are some of the key things that we're starting to see to really bleed over to the things that we're trying to provide as well too. So yes, would we like to provide the video? Yes, but I think the fact that we can do a lot of edge processing and provide other valuable data, this is where we're starting to see customers really gravitate to and looking for other ways and creative ways to utilize the information and data that we have at the edge. And I think you guys will see more of this in the near future. So with that, I'm going to go into a little bit about what Axis does really well. We are a camera at heart, but we also have other devices like radar. But to what AI has done with video and images, I think one of the things I wanted to kind of elaborate here is I've called this modern computer vision. Computer vision has been in the industry for decades. Industrial manufacturing has been using cameras to look for anomalies for high production yields and error corrections, but it's never applied intelligence to that. And this is the reason why in the AI world, they're re-bringing that term back, but now they're calling it modern computer vision, because now they're able to take all those aspects of machine vision and actually add some more intelligence into it. And that is really where we're starting to see things happen. And for us, when we develop sensors at the edge, taking in the images, I think there's an aspect of innovation that we need to push in our industry that a lot of people have not seen yet. And with that, you guys are familiar with AOA, right? So AOA is, has the ability to detect people and vehicles, in the scene, and we can also count a scene fully. But one of the key things we're testing right now, and this is a preview, it's called tunnel vision. And what tunnel vision means is we know our customers have cameras mounted and they're looking at an overview and they want to see everything because they want to capture as much as they can. But if in that scene, let's say they just want to count an area of the parking lot for just vehicles and they don't want to count the whole scene and they want to be very particular in a particular lot, but the camera is looking at a wide angle. Here, let me play the video real quick. What you'll see is the ability to just go into your area of interest. And then the AOA analytic only runs in that region to give you that data. So it ignores everything else. I mean, this is nothing like, too crazy or too fancy. It's just basically understanding our customers' needs and saying, hey, these are cameras that are deployed for security purposes, but if I'm going to use them for some business insights, how do I make that to be more granular so I don't have to filter all that out, right? So something like this is in a preview mode right now. It's not published out into our devices yet, but it's in preview. Another preview is this. And this is something that's very interesting. And if you look at image segmentation here, how many of you in the last year have gone to a trade show and see bounding boxes, right? Because the way AI works is it needs grid. It needs an X and a Y coordinate, and it sends all that. So there's a lot of extra data that it doesn't need in order to identify and classify things. What we're showing here is something that would take a lot of GPU power to analyze the image and go down to a very semantic level of pixels. And we're doing this at the edge, and we're offering this data for free to our partners to analyze. So this is a preview mode where we basically take image segmentation. We're able to associate certain groups and cluster of objects into particular objects or pixels in the scene, and we go down to the pixel level and we color code that. So when you look at this, you see that the car is not a bounding box, right? So we're being very efficient in how we process at the edge. And this is where we have an advantage, where we get access to that raw data and we're able to produce something like this. This is also in preview, and we don't know what the market will hold, but the fact that we have this in preview is another way for us to collaborate with you and our end customers to say, hey, is this something worth it for you guys to look into? Is there a use case for it? And the great thing with this is that normally you guys would get access to this by talking to a field sales engineer. I'm gonna give you an example right now. Actually, let me show you another one before I go into that. So this is, again, taking that image segmentation and then also taking our classification into account. But what I wanna show you here is that if you go to our devices with the latest firmware and you add a question mark and preview to it, you can preview and test that those two features out right now. And normally you would work with Stone and an Access FSE to get into it, but I want to make sure that I'll let you guys know that that is a preview. And in the future, when we have previews, that's going to be available, and you can definitely work with your Stone representative to see how to unlock some of these preview features. And when it's in preview, what we ask is it's a collaboration between us and our partners and our end customers. So we will never opt you guys in to sharing the data. So we would say, hey, if there's ever an option that when you guys deploy our products and you guys are okay sharing anonymous data to us, that helps us make a better product. And this is just an example of the anonymous data that we collect. We don't collect the images. We don't collect how you're deploying the device. We're just looking at the usage of the device. We're just looking at the performance, the CPU, the memory, because this helps us understand performance, understands if anything either crashes or locks, and we will build a better a solution for that. And I think the only way to do that is to give you guys exposure to our solutions and have it tested in your environment and share that anonymous data back to us. We can do so much in our labs, but having it out in the real world where you guys have dynamic images that changes, and there's always surprises, right? So I think that's the type of collaboration we're looking for. So I want to kind of share this with the audience here so that if you guys want to test that out, if you guys have the latest firmware with RPEC 8 cameras, you can preview that out and let us know. This is something that is also the AI industry has been trying to do for the longest time. And right now, everybody has a way to detect people, but we're talking about better quality data. So re-identification takes a lot of GPU power on a server on the cloud to actually not double count a person or know that that person is there. So here's an example of what we're able to do at the edge. And that data is provided to our partners to do whatever they want. And I think this is the beginning of understanding, how do we make sure that the quality that we provide at the edge is very good quality. And also comes down to a lot of use cases where a lot of times when you're looking at the security industry and you're looking to track an adversary within your building space, right? This type of edge processing and combining and clustering cameras together is going to be reality in the next year. This is, and the fact that we're able to do this at the edge with very limited compute on-prem and on the cloud, imagine what you can do when you augment that. And the things that you can do to enhance not only the business insights, but also the safety and security of not only your employees, but your guests that come into your facilities. So I want to kind of give you a glimpse of where we're heading and what that looks like. And it's becoming very real in our world. So the next topic is digital twins. And a lot of you guys might like, what is digital twins, right? And digital twins is something that is a market that is slowly coming into our industry. To give you a good analogy, how many of you guys use a Thomas Brother to look around for directions anymore? No one, right? Everybody uses Google Maps, right? So Google Maps is basically a digital twin. It's a digital twin of cities and states, and it has all the street information. And remember how Google Maps was when it first came out compared to how it is now. It has data on traffic statistics, and it helps you reroute things, right? So that concept is now being applied into the security space. And what you're going to see in the next couple of years is more digital twin platforms that are going to come into the space that offers a lot of really good insights for you to not only look at achieve those business outcomes in safety and security, but other things as well too. And just to give you an example is, why digital twin is very important for us. If you look at this image here, right? We as humans can look at this and tell 3D depth, right? You can tell how, estimate wise how far a car, the trees, the building is, right? But in the computer world, it's a 2D map. Like there needs to be a lot to go into that, right? So when it comes to the data that we're able to achieve at the edge, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be able to take all that and be able to actually have 3D data, the spatial data that we can provide to a digital twin platform. And this is an example of something that just was announced about a week ago by Intel. So Intel has a digital twin platform, of course, Scenescape, and they announced integration into our devices to further enhance their 3D or 4D aspects of their digital twin to analyze things. So when you're talking about like parking and you're looking at 2D images, you get so much more information when you can put that into a 3D environment to look at not only compliance, but safety and other things. So this area is very new to the security industry, but I can tell you by ISC West, there's a lot of digital twin platforms out there that are starting to aggregate all of the video data into their systems so that they can correlate other aspects. Brent, I think, mentioned LPRC. So we are working, and James is here, we are working with LPRC with a lot of retail customers to solve this, and they actually have a digital twin platform called Esri, where they're taking geospatial data and camera data, and they're also taking other like crime statistic data and correlating all that. That's kind of like the future now. Like the future is actually here with those platforms that are starting to understand that, hey, once we can actually integrate successfully into all these other systems, video systems, access control systems, we can provide better insights to our customers, and they can make better decisions. The other aspect of digital twins that is also very valuable for us as security practitioners is risk assessments. Imagine in a 3D environment where you have all the data of all the movements and traffics and anomalies that are happening within your facility. If you are a veteran of understanding risk assessment and where things are at, you can actually start to really simulate that in a digital twin and offer really good advice to your customers to say, hey, you know what? I think we need to add some more additional cameras here, or maybe we need to put other things here like an evolved turnstile, right? One of the key examples that is really beneficial from a digital twin environment is a few weeks or months ago with the soccer event down in Florida, where all the crowds kind of rushed the stadium. So in a digital twin environment, they could have simulated that ahead of time and anticipate what happens if there's more crowd coming in and understanding crowd flow and blocking things out and maybe simulating and saying, hey, maybe we need to put more additional guards here or maybe additional barriers here. This is where the future of where digital twins, where they're providing these business insights and business outcomes that can actually verify things with video data and 3D spatial data that we're providing, from our devices. And this is where the innovation from us is coming. Because a couple of years ago, when you in order to get 3D spatial data, you had to have two lenses, kind of like at a very symmetric distance between each other. So that was our 3D people counter. Now we can actually get 3D spatial data with one lens. And that is because of AI and all the algorithms that we're able to do from the raw data level. And I think that's going to be the future of providing more information than just an image that you get from our devices. And then here's some more examples of recreating the digital twin in a 3D environment and understanding much more aspects of a parking lot situation for parking violation. If they're parking in a certain way, this is just, again, more information for our customers to achieve those type of business outcomes. And then here's the other thing. So AI is not the only thing. We are looking to leverage our devices and what it can mean. I think one of the partners here was showing drone detection and GPS locations, but and we have extensive processing power at the edge to do overlays. So imagine the ability to overlay like Google Maps and streets into an image and basically be able to now have an operator, when they're responding to an event, be able to clearly state where the incident is happening, right? I think this is one aspect where we don't need to use AI. We're just using the edge processing power that we have at the edge to see how we can ingest other data into our video stream. Because again, as talking to our customers, video is becoming that ideal verification of incidences and events that are happening out there. So this is an example of something we're experimenting and looking at. Will it come out later on down the road? It possibly can, but this is something that we are getting feedback on to see, is there a value to integrating something like that into it? The other thing we have, here's another example of 3D spatial overlay too as well. And the other aspect of this is because we have the ability to use our AI algorithms to understand 3D space, we're talking about auto calibration. And once you import all that information into it, we want this to be very seamless. We understand usability and user interface is very ideal. We do not want to have too many steps into getting this data information into our devices, but this is something that definitely we're working on. And we'll be working with Stone to get some more feedback from our end customers if this is viable for what they're looking for. And then this right here is a quick snapshot, but we are also looking at geotagging the data into our object detection. So once we have the cameras out there calibrating and they actually understand geospatial data and they're facing north or south or east and they understand distance, the idea now is to take geospatial data into our cameras and overlay that onto objects that make sense. So then if you're worried about privacy or concerns, you can actually just look at the geospatial data on the actual objects that you're tracking. And this could be another valuable asset to our customers. So these are just some examples, some proof of concepts that we're working on right now that really is going to enhance the usability of our devices at the edge. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the future of AI. And actually, like I stated earlier, the future of AI is here. It's now. It's no longer future. And one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about is these are the impacts. From Axis, we believe the impacts is automation, right? In the security space, it's about reducing times and errors. The other aspect of this is interoperability. You're going to have better integrated systems. When Milestone and Linnell can digest the data that we provide, you're going to get better performance. You're going to get better outputs from our devices. Maintenance, this is huge. For Stone, you guys are servicing your customers. So the best thing that you can do is provide insights into their systems and provide predictive maintenance. And that's going to happen with a lot of these AI algorithms and data that our devices are going to allow you to ingest. The other aspect of this is energy efficiency. I kind of mentioned earlier, right? Everywhere you go in trade shows, you're seeing bounding boxes. And that's great. Everybody has bounding boxes. But what I showed you with image segmentation is a better, efficient way to use the processing power. And that's where we're going that route. And because if we're efficient in processing that image, guess what? The power consumption is even lower. So you're going to get more for less. And that's our goal here. We understand AI is a very fluid technology and things are changing every 3 months. So we want to make sure that we're staying ahead of it, but also being very cautious, right? We want to make sure that you as the customer is going to benefit from the output of what we're going to provide. And this goes into this next phase is ethical use and governance. We know this is coming, right? EU just passed an act on AI systems, and the US right now has a lot of plans in federal proposals and even state proposals. So we as a vendor have to be very cognizant with everything that's happening in that field, and we want to make sure that we abide by that. And very similar to the mission statement of Stone in operating and doing business in an ethical way, we want to do the same thing because we want to make this all seamless. Like all these components, you guys don't have to worry about this if we comply and we follow these ethical standards that the industry is following and other industries are following. We want to make sure that you guys are going to be able to use the technology now and in the future. Again, cybersecurity, data privacy, and protection, that's very huge, and you saw that in the other slides as a foundational aspect of it. And this is where the business outcomes is huge, right? Historical and near real-time analysis. The movement to proactive is very real because in order to do that, you do have to ingest your historical data. But once you have the historical data and you have the trends, you move to more proactive. And now you can start to react to things in real time. And this is a huge game changer in our industry. And it's really going to change the way we look at systems and how we look at integrated systems. And lastly, customization. I think a lot of vendors out there might try to sell you this solution or this box that's will say, hey, we're going to solve your problem here. But really what's happening is, like Tim mentioned earlier, all these are tools. And what we want to do is provide you with the best tools possible, because really the customization is in the power of the end customer that's going to utilize our devices, our tools in their system to achieve the business outcome that they need. That is a huge shift in our industry, in other industries, because everybody wants to sell you something to solve something, right? And I think there will always be a market for that. But really when you go deep into what we're trying to provide, because for us, at where we're at, we actually take in data at its purest form. And our customers need to trust that data, right? And it goes into the theme of building trust. That is going to be huge, and that type of customization, and that's why I don't really like to use the word analytics, because that really is in the hands of our customers. Our customers are going to decide what type of analytics is valuable to them and how they're going to apply it to their business. And then the other thing I wanted to kind of state is everything that you're seeing now, from object detection to vehicle detection to people detection, all that's improving. It's reducing false alerts. But one of the things is that this is going to be normalized. This is going to be standard everywhere. Just as we went to that digital transformation from analog to digital, and video motion became kind of like the de facto standard, and we knew there were some shortcomings with video motion, right, with shadows and false alerts. But what's happening now is everyone is going to be standardized on object detection at the edge. There is it's basically an equalizer in the industry. It's going to be that standard that everyone has. So you as an end customer or Stone as a partner, you have to look at more beyond that to go, who do I want to work with to get to the actual data and the information that my customers need, right? So all that's going to be standard. And we really feel that, like I said, you go over the next year to any of the trade shows, you're going to see everybody having very similar things, right? And how do you weave through all the noise, right? The other aspect of this is where we feel value from Access is metadata, right? And metadata is going to be very huge because we're trying to do it in a very ethical way. And we're trying to make sure that we provide data that's very precise and very specific and the term we use is a very high fidelity data, right? And I think that's where it'll be used properly by our partners and our customers. And this is an example of us just improving all the metadata that we're providing at the edge. And I think that's the foundation of what we have, is that, we really believe that as our customers tell us, hey, we have all these different business outcomes we're trying to achieve, what are the metadata, the things that we're missing? Because it provides context. It provides a lot of context into the scene. And that's really where, the shortcomings of AI is. AI is great in certain aspects, but there are also shortcomings to AI when it comes to the context of what it's seeing, right? So metadata for us is very huge, and we're going to continue to invest in providing the best metadata stream and detail within our environment to our partners and to our end customers for usage. And the reason why I talked about the other business units is this is a great illustration to kind of reason why metadata is at that foundation, right? We have the traditional VMS where you can send the video and the metadata into Milestone. You can do the smart search, and that's another component. Smart search is going to be standard. Like, the way that you're going to be efficiently searching video and putting them into cases, those are going to be very standardized for us in the security space. But the huge thing is these IoT platforms, these other business units that I was talking about earlier, they have other platforms that also want the data. And how do you do that simultaneously? So as a device, we need to be able to be very open to say, oh yeah, while you're working with Milestone and Linnell, you can actually tap the same data to another system and use it for other things. This actually adds value to the system that you guys are managing and you guys are deploying out there. So it's a huge value add to your own internal organizations to say, oh, this is the reason why we're integrated and we're working with Access and Milestone and Linnell and other partners, is because that type of openness is where you allow to break down those silos and kind of align with your own organization's business initiatives and strategy. And then the last part right here is we are looking for a way to really enhance the fidelity of our metadata, even to our partners. We're not going to do it ourselves. We know we can only do so much, But we really rely on those partnerships to really take the data that we produce at the edge to a whole nother level, you know? Are there things that we're gonna be able to make efficient? Yes, because we control that sensor, we control that device, we control all the data streams, but we also rely on our partnerships to grow the features and the capabilities of that. And then here's an example of something, if you guys were at ISC West, that I demonstrated with a partnership with with us and Azure and OpenAI. So this was an example that I demonstrated at ISC West, where I took a video clip. This is me in the backyard trying to simulate a spill on fall. But using advancements in large language models and large vision models, the feature for event and case management is going to be AI related. So how many here, if you have to create an event or case, spend a lot of time just trying to generate a summary, right? It could take somebody 15, 20 minutes getting all the right information. What's going to happen in the future, and actually very near future, is a lot of our partners are going to be using image summarization to look at the scene, to interact with an AI, and basically have that AI spit out a template. It's not going to be the full report, but it's going to get you started. And this is where it's very critical that you have a human in the loop. So that human is going to look at that and interact with that particular AI, and now be able to really add their element of information into it. But it's going to speed up their process. So because of speeding up that process, this is going to save a lot of time, and our customers can now put the resources into other things, other critical aspects of their business. And this is going to be very huge. You're going to see a lot of partners out there really use this to accelerate event and case management. And it's, again, these are going to be very standard features, right? How many here, you know, if you guys are using Word, like spell check, grammar check, all that's already natively there, right? So these are the type of features that, even though it's very fantastical right now, it is going to be standardized in a lot of the platforms out there. And we have to learn how to work with it, right? And that's why the AI community, when we work with Azure on this, this is something that a partner can take and basically privatize down to the customer's data. So then the AI itself isn't exposed to anything else outside of the organization. They can actually use it internally. And as the AI learns about case management and all the different cases, they can actually look for trends. They can look for just different ways that things are happening that a human person might not look. But if they analyze hundreds of cases, you can actually start to query and say, hey, what are some of the trends that are happening with all these case incidences, right? And then a practitioner is going to be able to make better judgments and better decisions. So I think this is something that we've highlighted, and you're going to see more things that we at Axis will highlight in partnerships with like Azure and other customers like Google and AWS on. So I think these are just the tip of the iceberg, and these are very real. You know, even though it's in an innovation lab being shown at IC West this year, it's very real and very realistic, and a lot of partners are looking into this right now. And then lastly, a lot of people will ask, why work with Access, right? The things that I'm showing you guys here is really beyond the data sheet. If you're looking for features and capabilities to compare us to other competitors, that's not what we're about. When you look at us, our foundation, and this is the very theme to the mission from Stone, is about trust. And in a world of cybersecurity and AI and cloud, all this stuff comes down to trust. And for us, we want to make that as easy and seamless as possible. So knowing that our devices at the edge, our first priority was secure. So you guys all heard at IC West, we announced our partnership with NXP to be the first security device that's FIPS 140-3 compliant for government use, right? And that's huge for us, because for us, we don't want to have our customers worry about that. We are adopting standards out there in the federal level, from a public agency to even the private sector, right? So we want to make sure that when we're going to layer this with AI and other technologies on top of it, security is actually the biggest aspect of it. The other aspect of this is reliability. So we understand we're not going to race to the most powerful processor at the edge, right? Think about how megapixels have kind of evolved, right? We weren't the first for megapixels either, but we want to make sure that in the world of data that you guys have image quality data, and that our hardware is resilient to a lot of these. That's why if you really drill down to it, the way we do our Q&A on our devices and the quality and the resilience that it has, you know, we're very proud of that. You know, I know I talked to a lot of customers that have even older devices that are like 10, 12 years old that are still working. You know? So we're very proud of that. And I think we put a lot of emphasis into our reliability of our hardware. And then the third area is verifiability. This is where the scary generative AI stuff is coming down the pipeline in terms of how do you verify that the data is there. And we talked about, partners having case management and evidence management, but in the end of the day, if that ever goes to court and they go, how do we know that that video has not been altered because of all the advanced tools in AI to do deep fakes and make artificial thing? One of the things we released, and we open sourced it. So we want our competitors to adopt this. This is good for the industry. We created signed video. So what signed video means is that you can verify frame for frame that that video or that image part of that video came from an originating device. So now we're preparing things for the future, right? So when you're getting questioned about whether or not the video has been altered, you can go not only from the system level, you can go all the way down to the device level and prove that this is how it's structured, right? So that for us is very important, and we hope that the industry adopts that. And again, we open source that. So for us, this is some of the key foundations that myself and my team has really worked with our team in Sweden and other aspects of making sure that we really look at the foundations of where we can build trust. And these are the elements of that in order to make sure there's usable and quality data that you guys are using. And it's going to be more than just video. You already saw that we have radar sensors, we have audio. So there's a lot of different sensors and things that are going to propagate and evolve over the next couple of years. But this is our foundation. It's at the device level, it's at our OS level. We want to make sure that once we had that, then we can start to add all these other components, whether it's AI, cloud, anything that comes down the road. We have a very solid foundation that the customer can trust. So with that, that's my presentation. I want to kind of give you a glimpse of why us working with Stone and how we're very in line and we're very synergistic in terms of their mission and our mission too as well, and how we innovate and how we differentiate ourselves from the competitors. And we're continually in that mode of also collaboration. And we love that collaboration and that feedback, because when we're not doing things right, we want you guys to actually give us that feedback so we can take that back and really shape the types of products and solutions and services that we're going to provide out there to the market. So with that, thank you so much, guys.